Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Skyvan Experience. Today, kind of going in line with what we did last week, we're going to be installing our second battery. In the camper van world, I guess they call that the house battery. I just kind of call it an auxiliary battery or a dual battery setup. But this is the stuff that's going to be running a lot of our 12-volt accessories when we are camped. Anything that we're not hooked into when we're at the RV place or the state park or whatever, will be running off of this second battery we're going to put in. And I'm pointing here because this is where we're going to be putting that second battery. It's going to be in the base of the passenger seat. Because this is a totally strippy 2500 cargo van, there is nothing underneath here, and this is a big cavity. I think the fancier rigs that have a lot more options have stuff underneath here already, but we're in luck that we got nothing. I also understand that there should be a bit of a tunnel or a recess going from the main battery, which is in the driver's footwell. That's where the main battery is, the starting battery. Should be maybe a tunnel or something. We're going to find that out. That runs from there to the pedestal base here, where we're going to be putting our battery. So the first thing we have to do is, to take out this passenger seat, and luckily, again, a lot of people have contributed to this. We have to unhook the airbag sensor underneath the seat. If you do that without disconnecting the battery first, apparently you'll get an error code when you plug everything back in or put the battery back together that you have to go to the dealership for to get that cleared. So they say, and I'm going to go longer than this, they say if you unhook the battery, and I'll show you where that disconnect is, for about 20 minutes, then you can unhook the airbag sensor from the passenger seat before we take this thing out and get to this cavity. We're going to do it even longer than that just to play it safe, because I don't want to deal with any codes. No codes for me. So we'll unhook the main battery. We'll wait quite a while. In the meantime, we'll take out this rubber mat, and there's only a few bolts holding that in place. This rubber mat is totally designed to come out, and we'll get started on that. So let's get going. Okay. Here we are in the driver's footwell. I took this little panel off here. It actually gave me a little bit more of a fight than I would have thought. This piece right here at the bottom had a hard time coming out. Apparently you just undo those clips right there and kind of pull back and then go like that. And the disconnect is right there. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this one-handed while holding the camera or not. Let's see if I can do this. I think we press down on this and then, sorry, you can't see, pull back. No, I got to put two hands in there. Anyway, looks like we press down on that and pull straight that way. Okay, we got it. There's the thing I just pulled off, and there's the positive, or would that be a negative terminal? Probably a negative terminal. So now we are going to wait at least 20 minutes, probably longer. In the meantime, we're going to take out the rubber mat everywhere, passenger and driver side. We just have to do these screws, maybe some screws back there on that aluminum trim piece, and we'll take out that so we can see if there really is like a tunnel that runs underneath there from the main battery right here over there. All right, let's get going. Cue the fast forward. All right, let me take you in here. This is pretty gross. I'm glad I'm doing this so I can clean all this out. So the rubber mat, as soon as I figured out how to get it around the emergency brake, it came out pretty easy. but you see I need to vacuum badly in here and kind of clean this stuff up. There's the top of the main battery, and it looks like there, oh, yep. See, there's a recess in there, like a little tunnel that goes from there. So the one cable that we have to run from the starter battery to underneath the pedestal will fit perfectly, it looks like. That's great. Let's get started on that. I know what you're wondering. You're wondering, hey, what size Torx is that? Oh, it's a T30. There you go. You're welcome. Let's see what this looks like inside here. Ooh, that's a big battery. That is a big battery. A lot of stuff. All right. So while we're waiting for the power, I guess, to fully trickle off before we can take this passenger seat out and unhook that airbag sensor, let's talk about some of the things that we're going to be using to actually put this dual battery, the second battery, in underneath the base. I've never done this before. I've heard about it. I've seen a lot of it. I watched a lot of videos. There's one video in particular that I'll try to link if I can. YouTube's been weird with us about that lately. But let's talk about the actual stuff, okay? First of all, obviously we have our second battery. What I got here is it's an AGM battery. I read and heard that those are the safest to have actually in the cabin of the van. It's sealed, leak proof, so definitely go with an AGM if you're going to do this. We got a pretty big one, 850 cold cranking amp with 80 amp hours. Okay. Also got these really cool terminals that we're going to hook the cables up to that have areas to put accessories and things like that. So those will fit on there nice. Also, we have, of course, a battery tray. I'm thinking one of the hardest things about this install is figuring out how to properly secure the battery underneath there. So I got the battery tray. It came with this strap. I need to figure out how to bolt it in there so it doesn't move around. So that's the other thing. Secondly, or next, I should say, the heart of this whole deal is the battery isolator. I went with this Battery Doctor one because what I like about this one compared to some of the others, and maybe the others do this again, I have no idea. I'm figuring this out as we go, right? If you can push this little button here, it says push, and when you do that, it'll engage the second battery to help start the vehicle if your main battery goes dead. So, and again, that's the whole point of having this. You don't want to ever drain the starting battery. So when we're running stuff, and we'll get to the wiring of the stuff later on that will attach to the second battery. Obviously, you don't want to drain your starting battery. So this is the one that'll get drained and it'll protect the starting battery. If your starting battery happens to get drained, then you can push this little button and this isolator will connect the auxiliary battery in order to help you start the vehicle. So it's really nice to have that redundancy. What I know about dual battery setups before is from the four-wheeling world when I lived in Colorado for 40 years, where it's nice always to have a second battery to run your winch and other stuff like that. So again, you don't want to drain that starting battery to death. So this is the heart of the operation. And secondly, we have these circuit breakers. We're going to run a circuit breaker from the starting battery to this, to the isolator. Then coming from the isolator, we're going to run another one that goes between the isolator and this battery. Just some redundancy for keeping stuff safe, basically. Some people say you should run a third one. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet. I need to do a little bit more research on that. But this is the heart of it. This is the fun. Oh, one other thing. Of course, the battery cables. I read somebody on some forum that said, just buy jumper cables. They're a lot cheaper than battery cables. They were right. This whole big thing of cable which is the proper gauge and everything, was way cheaper than just buying dedicated battery cables. You just have to make your own lugs. That's super easy. You put them on there, you squish it. That'll be real easy to do. So nice economical way of making your own battery cable. So I'm pretty excited about that. So yeah, this is the core of what you need. Later on, we'll attach a whole different fuse block, and that's where we will run all the stuff. I'm planning on having phone chargers in the back, running a fridge, stuff like that. All good. So let me show you what I've been fighting for the past 25 minutes. So there is this tunnel, but it's held in place by these clips, and they are really hard to get out. So you can see it right there. I need to vacuum all the stuff out. Anyway, I'm going to, off camera, I'm going to keep working on this thing. It runs up there. There's the starter battery right there. And I'm just having a heck of a time getting these clips out. I don't want to break them, but if I break a couple, it looks like that just might be what happens. So I'll report back after I get this silly thing off. So here's that sensor. It literally just kind of slides right out. You see that there's a little clip right there on either side. Slid out real easy. And then there's just 4 bolts, E-Torx. One right there, and then 2 in the back. So we'll go ahead and take those off now. All right, let me take you in here. So there's that big cavity. The only thing that's in there is the wire. I think I'm going to put the battery back there, but that's going to be a mission for tomorrow. Good morning. It's day 2 of our dual battery auxiliary battery house battery install, whatever you want to call it. Decisions have been made and that I think will make life a lot easier. I have been really struggling with that whole tunnel thing right there. And luckily a solution has presented itself. Let me show you what I mean on how to run the battery cable to the pedestal. So we're giving up on running the battery cable through here and that absolutely terrifying bundle of wires. Mercedes, they really don't want you in here, and I'm more than happy to oblige. Luckily, this panel right here, this black panel, came off of this. We can run the cable from the positive right there, and we can run it up. See where the other cable's going? Through there. That's underneath the cup holder, and we'll come out right there. Plenty of room. Don't have to fight this big old cable anymore, and it'll go right underneath, right into the pedestal where our battery is going to go right here. All right. We've got our battery cable here, our positive, that we're going to connect. There's about 3 different terminals we could connect to, but I picked one right here that gives a nice straight shot, and we're going to snake it kind of up and over, and it's going to come out right over there. Let's see if I can get all this stuff to lay fairly flat. All right, let me show you what I've done here. The battery tray is installed. I kind of bolted the strap to the back of the pedestal as well. Have some nice looking acorn nuts there with washers holding it in. And also the battery tray is bolted down. So I think that should hold it pretty securely. I've seen worse, so I think this should be okay. Going to put the battery in now. Alrighty, here is what I think is the mostly completed setup. So let's check this out. I thought I was filming putting this in, but it wasn't recording. Sorry about that. So here's the battery cable right here, running from the main battery, comes up into a circuit breaker, from the circuit breaker to the isolator, from the isolator to another circuit breaker, and then finally from that circuit breaker it goes around to the positive terminal of the auxiliary battery. And we have the auxiliary grounded to what I think is a pretty good ground point down there. I scuffed that up and to get it bare metal, so hopefully that should be good. The only thing that's left to do now is put in the passenger seat, plug that airbag sensor in, hook everything back up, and let's just kind of see what happens. And I'm crossing my fingers. Well, I think we have good news. There's no airbag warning or anything like that. I got a bunch of doors open, so the door opened, and I got the parking brake on, so that's on, but no airbag thing. That's good. Let's go over to the other side. I kind of got all this back together, so we can kind of see through here. Oh, look, there's the isolator is blue. I wonder what that means. I need to look that up. But there's no smoke. There's no fire. Nothing blew up. So far, so good. Time will tell. I don't know if the battery's charging. I was wondering if the alternator might be an error with that. I have no idea. No idea. Anyway, so far everything looks good. Okay, I got out the instruction manual for the isolator. Let's see what it says. So we got a red light and we got a blue light. Let's see. With the installation complete and the engine off, only the red power LED should be on. Okay, the engine's still going. Start the vehicle's engine. Did that. Within a few seconds, the blue charging LED will turn on, indicating that the starting battery is above 13.4 volts. The isolator will start charging the auxiliary battery. Okay, that says to me it's charging the battery we just put in. If the isolator does not go into charging mode, increase the engine RPM to a fast idle. This will allow the alternator to generate more current. Okay. All right, I did what it said to do. I turned the engine off like it says. I turned the headlights on. And yeah, 60 seconds afterwards, that little blue light went off. So now it's just the red light. So that means that the two batteries are now disconnected from each other. Slick. Okay. Very cool. All right, everybody. That was a pretty big project. It was even made a little bit longer by the screw-ups that I did, like trying to run the cable through that tunnel instead of going up and over underneath the cup holder like I finally did. Also, it took a lot of time, but it's more economical to, and it just makes more sense to make your own battery cables to connect the circuit breakers to the isolator to the circuit breaker again, and then running back around to the battery. And also, I didn't really have the proper length bolts. I don't know if you can see it, but I was having to cut down bolts. So that all took time too. So that probably, all that stuff actually probably doubled the amount of time it took to do this. But again, if I were to ever do it again, I would do it a lot quicker. And again, it appears to be working. The isolator appears to be doing its isolating business. That's pretty good. I think the total cost of this probably came to maybe $400, something like that. Obviously, the biggest cost being the battery. Batteries are just so expensive now. That isolator, I think, was about 110, something like that. And then just buying the miscellaneous, the cables and the lugs and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe about $400. So I appreciate you watching, and more projects to come. We'll see you next time. Thanks.